I'm Logan Webb, and you're listening to Torture Cast.
Swinging. There's a high drive. Deep into left center field. It's on its way. Adios! Pelota!
Let's go Giants! SF Giants! Let's go Giants! SF Giants!
A grand slam for Buster Posey's good friend.
A podcast by and for fans of the San Francisco Giants. Chad King, Eric Nathanson, and Willie Dills. This is the Torture Cast.
It's Tuesday, September 23rd, 2025, and this is episode 327 of the Torture Cast, the podcast by and for fans of the San Francisco Giants, and your two hosts tonight are back home in our respective abodes. I don't know.
Abode? I think abode. Abode works.
No, it's abode.
Is it Adobe?
I use Adobe. That's a clay that they used to build a lot of houses here in California, old buildings out of Adobe clay. And then it's also, they make the PDF software and then Photoshop and Illustrator and all that stuff. Anyway, I digress. I'm your host, Chad King, and the other voice you heard there was Eric Nathanson. He's back in Arizona. I'm over here in the Bay Area. Willie, who normally probably could have joined tonight, he's actually at the park right now, where he just witnessed the game get a little closer. Eric and I were like, they probably have this game. Ramos just hit his 20th home run of the season. Giants go up 8-3 here in the 7th. We're thinking pretty good. And then it was a double, a walk, and a 3-run homer. Boom, 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 and suddenly it's 8-6. And the Cardinals still have, 8 outs left in the game. So tonight's game is not over by any stretch of the imagination, but Eric, how you been doing over the last week after we saw them lose a couple of games in Arizona and then proceeded to see them lose almost every game since?
Yeah, it's been so annoying to watch them lately. I mean, in a span of a week, they scored 4 runs in the first inning and lost the game. We were witness to one of them. They did it twice against LA. It's just been a frustrating watch with the Giants lately. I pined for last week when we still had hope heading into that series in Arizona, when you and I were getting ready to head on our way to Chase Field for the first time, all excited. Okay, if the Giants can just do this and this, take care of business here in Arizona while we're here, and maybe they got a shot. And now, 2 days later, we recorded the other eulogy, and now we are just resigned to the fate. Like we were joking before the show. I'm like, oh, I got to pull up some numbers and stuff. I'm like, but what does it matter anymore?
It doesn't matter.
The season is lost. One more loss guarantees a 500 record.
Yes.
So, the Giants have some work to do if they even want to finish 500. I guess that's the only goal they got left.
That's the only goal they have left. It is funny how we were resigned. We did that first eulogy July 31st. Here we are September 3rd when we were recording episode 324. The Giants had just won 10 out of 11, and they were 4 games behind the Mets, and we were wondering, could they catch them in the last 22 games? Then our first episode in Arizona, we had all of that energy and excitement going into that first game. And even though the Giants had only gone 4-5 since that September 3rd podcast, they were only a game and a half behind the Mets. And we were really thinking, this could happen. If you guys listened to episode 325 and 326, which we did both in Arizona, you know what happened. Well, even if you didn't listen, you know what happened. They lost 2 out of 3, and their odds became pretty bleak. But what was the final nail in the coffin and the super glue around the edge was losing the first 3 in LA. And we knew it was going to be tough. We were talking about it. They had the easy schedule in the last 22, except for LA. They ended up playing under 500 before they even got to LA. Just thank the Mets that they lost 8 in a row. And they just tanked it in LA. It just, what are you going to do? And then they salvaged the 4th game of the series. They end up going 4-9 against LA. They go 3-10 against the Padres. And, you can look at several series, but those two together, that's the difference in the season right there. If they play 500 against those two teams, they're in the playoffs. So, they can't play those tough teams intra-division very well. And then they open up the game against the Cardinals last night, and they dropped that one too. So, overall, let me click back over here. Giants have lost 8 of 10. And tonight they had a 5-run lead, but now it's getting a little questionable with a 2-run lead.
A one-run lead.
A one-run
Nope, it's a one-run lead.
Arenado just homered.
Yeah, deep. I was so confident when we were talking before the show.
So-
They got this one. You're like,
Okay.
I don't want to say anything, but I'm just saying.
So I was pretty prophetic in that second game in terms of after the 4-run lead. I was
Oh
like,
my God.
they may not score anymore. And then later in the mid game, it was like, this is a walk-off. That's exactly what happened. Just 5 minutes ago, it was 8-3, and you said, yeah, except Lucchese just put 2 on. And I look, and I saw it was a double and a walk. And I said, yeah, maybe. But I said a bloop and a blast, and suddenly it's a game, right? That would be 8-7. Well, they didn't quite go in that order. They went a blast and then a blast. It's
So your lack of faith
they scored those 4 runs in a slightly different manner.
Disturbing.
Bloop and a blast is a blast and
blast. Yeah, no, it's your lack of faith has you nailing what's going to happen.
I guess
it's scary that's what it is. It is. You have absolute lack of, and I get it. I can't argue with that. They don't have the bullpen that they had earlier this year. There's no faith that they're going to get through it. Like I joked, as we were talking about Lucchese, blowing it here with 3 runs. I'm like, it feels like he sucks a lot lately. The reason it feels that way is because the only other game he's given up runs this month was the first game we went to in Arizona. So I feel like Lucchese is always blowing it right now. But it's so funny. Their bullpen just isn't what it was. Webb did his job. He went out there. He passed 200 innings for the 3rd straight season. He's definitely hitting the career high in strikeouts this year. He's over 200 for the first time. His ERA is going to settle in the low 3s, which is pretty on par for him. So he still did his job, but the leftovers of the Giants bullpen, and that's what they are, the leftovers. So
they are.
If you didn't get raptured and you're like us and you got left over, we're just like the Giants bullpen. We're a bunch of leftovers, as all the other guys got raptured out of there between Rodriguez and Rogers and I guess to a lesser extent Doval. But it really they have their bullpen has collapsed over the last. They're 9-11 in September. Bullpen is part of the reason why they're in this mess of not able to qualify for the playoffs. There's like 5 different things we can point to and be like, okay, if they play 500 against the division teams, they would be there. If the bullpen had held on to 3 or 4 more games, they'd be there. And it is the dismantling of the bullpen. These are the results that we're seeing from it now.
Yeah, and I don't blame Posey because when he pulled the trigger, we were all for it. Again, it took the Mets having a pretty epic collapse to have the Giants even have any hope. Plus, because it coincided. with
Tyler Rogers. Right,
he
couldn't save the Mets. So who's saying he would have saved the Giants if Tyler Rogers was with us? I'm not sure it would have been much different.
No, 100%. Yeah, so you're right. The struggle is now to try and get to 500, and they just made the effort a lot harder by allowing 4 runs here in the top of the 7th. So now it's a 1-run game. So now it's anyone's game. It looked like the Giants. I mean, come on, 5-run lead in the 7th inning. If they blow this again, you just kind of go, they're not a playoff team. They have no business losing a game leading by 5 runs in the 7th. I'm sorry, they don't, and they don't deserve this. But tonight, they're sitting at 77 and 80, same as the Cardinals. So whoever wins is going to leap ahead. The Marlins have won 7 in a row. They now are 77 and 80, tied with the Giants. Actually, they'll be a half game up or back depending on tonight's result. And then the Braves, who have been having a really crappy season out of nowhere, have won 10 in a row, and they're only like 2.5 games back of the Giants. So I mean, hypothetically, if the Giants really, really hit the skids here against the Cardinals and the Rockies to close out the season, they could find themselves with like the 4th worst record in the National League. I mean, it really could. It could be that bad. But hopefully they'll close it out and get to 500. The best they can do is 82 and 80 at this point, and that was my season prediction. So I am on life support. I am on life support, Eric. They have to win out. They're not going to do that. I understand. But tonight I was like, okay, they got this. That means 4 in a row. They can do it. They can do it. No. Your prediction was what, 79? And
79. Chances are I'll be closest to the pin, yeah.
Chances are you're going to be closest to the pin, especially if they lose tonight, because then that puts them at 77 and 81 with 4 games left. They go 2-2, and you get it. You nail it. So, yeah, not so good. let's see what else. Ramos, well, he hit his 20th home run tonight. That gave him that 8-3 lead. And you noted this. He's the first left fielder since Bonds in 2007 to hit 20 home runs. Not the first
20.
Giant, the first left fielder. The first Giant left fielder.
Just
so that's
20.
something. And actually, that kind of brings me to my next point. On September 9th, Willie Adames hit his 28th home run. And he had... 13 plus 5, 18 games left at that point to hit 2 home runs to become the first Giant to hit 30 home runs since Barry Bonds. And we thought it was a lock. The guy was on fire. He had hit like 5 in a week. We're like, oh, he's got this, no problem. He has not hit a home run since. That's 13 games, including tonight. So after tonight, he's only going to have, 4 more cracks at it to get to 30. And maybe there is some sort of weird ghost shadow of Bonds lingering around the locker room in Oracle Park, because Belt, got close, but he got injured, and now Adames looks like he was a lock, and now suddenly he went cold. There seems to be this artificial barrier of this coveted 30 home run benchmark that no one can hit. I don't understand. I don't get it.
Well, combine that actually with the Giants and starting left fielders in the time that Bonds has been gone. It's kind of crazy to think about. When you put those two things together, it's like, wait a second, wow, that's kind of crazy that they have had a different starting left fielder every year, and that they've had a different nobody's hit 30 home runs. It's like nobody, like you said, can live up to the ghost of Barry Bonds, who obviously is very much alive.
Very much alive.
But it's very weird to see that. I'm trying to look up did Ramos start in left last year? I don't remember if this year was the first year that happened, or did we continue that trend?
No, we continue the trend of a different starting left fielder on opening day. Yeah, we're still going.
Okay. Oh, there it is. Opening day stars.
Yep.
Okay, we are still going on that one.
Oh, yeah.
So it is. It's like a combination. Oh, you're right. It was Conforto last year, Ramos this year. Yeah. That'll probably end next year with Ramos. As long as Ramos is healthy coming out of spring training, that's going to end.
I was going to say, if he doesn't get hurt, they'll break that streak finally. But, knowing their luck, he's going to twist an ankle and not be in the starting lineup opening day.
I can't remember who it was, but there was a year where the same guy was going to repeat, and then he got hurt and didn't start the year in left field, and it continued the streak. Now, the funny thing is we're both kind of in agreement that next year that 30 home run thing should also fall if Adames doesn't get there this year, because Devers, who has 33 this year on the whole, will probably hit 30 home runs for the Giants next year. Devers has 18 with the Giants. He had 15 with the Red Sox. I was shocked to see that Devers has more homers than Flores with the Giants this season. But he's at 33. He'll probably pop one more out before the end of the season. So 34, maybe even 35. So I can see Devers. So both of those curses might be broken. Maybe 2026 is the year for that to finally get broken, because it has been lingering over the club for so long. There's no symmetry to 26 being the reason, but it seems like next year is the year that those will finally
other than another even year or something. But we know that was dashed away when the Giants did so well in 21, although they exited really quickly. But
but we can get the even year magic started again. Now it'll just be 26, 26, 28, and 30. There you go. Just do that. Because I don't know. I've mentioned this on the last show. This team gives me shades of 09. So, I don't see why next year could not be the Giants' year. If they do, as we'll talk about in the postmortem next week, if they do make some moves to help them out in that respect, it's entirely possible. But the 30 home run thing, and if it does happen though, it's gonna be so hysterical. The Giants are they've secured themselves a losing season, and on Saturday, Adames pops 2 of them out, and it's like everybody's gonna go nuts. And it's going to be so embarrassing that we're celebrating a 30 home run, season by a guy when the Giants are still going to finish under 500 or at 500. It's almost embarrassing for the ball club at this point.
And there's teams with multiple 30 home run hitters. Every year. It's insane.
Every year, right? Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say. Other teams do this all the time. Every single team has had a 30 home run hitter since this time, but the Giants. And we're going to celebrate that like it's some big deal.
Big Dumper's got 58. Schwarber's got 54 or 55. There's some big numbers up there. It's Otani, I think, is at 54. It's I don't know. It's frustrating to see, but you know what? We did get to see Bryce Eldridge and his major league debut on that Monday night game, and that was a lot of fun. I mean, I know the Giants lost that game 6-1, but it was really cool to see. He almost hit that ball out, as you noted in the podcast. It was out of 23 out of 30 stadiums, including Oracle. So he gave it a ride, and you put your video up on Reddit, which got pretty good traction. Fortunately, I should say, first of all, he broke the streak in LA. He did get his first major league hit. It was a bases clearing double, so he got his first 3 ribbies as well, and his first run scored, I believe. But as a whole, including tonight, he's 0 for 3 tonight. He's 1 for 19 now on his career. And again, we talked about this before the show, not holding anything against him. We knew that having the cup of coffee at the end of the year was an experiment, and it was hoping to catch lightning in a bottle, to be a part of a crazy playoff push. It wasn't meant to be. It just didn't happen. And it's not his fault. The whole team, for the most part, fell flat these last couple of weeks. So it's not his fault. That said, it would be nice to see him, get a few more hits here, maybe his first major league home run before the end of the season. Just give him a little something going into next year, because it wouldn't be so great to see him, finish this out like 2 for 30 or something like that.
Yeah, it doesn't even look like he's struggling, but his swing is what it is. He's not really hitting the off-speed stuff. Mm-hmm. Everything he connects with seems to be a fastball. So you got to figure it's just a little bit different at this level. And like you said, we don't really care that he's going 1 for 18, but it'd be nice for his psyche to not have that happen. Right. And crush his soul or anything. Just a side note, Cal Raleigh, Kyle Schwarber, and Shohei Ohtani all have over 50 homers, which is more than the Giants' top 2 home run hitters combined. Aaron Judge is 49, which is the same as the Giants' top 2 home run hitters, Adames and Chapman combined. Adames 28, Chapman 21. So maybe Eldridge breaks that streak next year. I mean, we are kind of assuming that he's going to get a fair shot in spring training. That's why we've talked about Dom Smith might not be back next season, because there's really not a place for him. And I'm not sure if he'd want to come in just as an insurance policy. The guy might have earned himself some money this year. Sure. So, it's okay. Eldridge, he doesn't look lost at the plate. He doesn't look overmatched. It looks like he's just getting beat, if that makes sense, Mm-hmm. Some guys, they look totally overwhelmed. He does not look overwhelmed. He just hasn't figured things out yet. Yeah.
He's got some learning to do, that's for sure. I think Posey, when he came up in 2009, he didn't scorch the ball right away either. It takes a little time. You got a good question here. I'll let you take that one. That's yours.
All right. Well, so it's the end of the season. We don't have much to look forward to anymore. And Fan Appreciation Weekend is this weekend. And so Friday night, they will hand out the annual Willie Mac Award. And we're fans, and fans do vote on it, even though it really is a teammate-driven award. Mm-hmm. And it's given to the most inspirational Giants player for the season. And so I believe Chapman won it last year. So I just posed the question. I'll say mine as I asked the question. Who wins the Willie Mac Award this season? I think it's Willie Adames.
Willie Adames. That's mine. Yeah. 100%. This, again, it's for the most inspirational. The guy has been nothing but the best cheerleader on this team. He is leading those home run, celebrations. He's taking helmets off. He's slapping people on the back. He's jumping out of the dugout. He's dumping Gatorade on the players and even the fans. I mean, he has just been everywhere all at once, with a big smile. And he's played pretty well. Like, he really came on in the second half. His batting average isn't great, but that's the major leagues these days. His defense was fine. It wasn't horrible. Those don't really have too much of a factor in it, but I would bet money he's going to win it. I really would.
Yeah, I would too. It's funny you say, his batting average, because in modern baseball, I mean, we're literally looking at a season where Trey Turner is the only player, and then him and Nico Horner are the only 2 players in the National League hitting over 300. So Adames is 225, doesn't really even make you sweat too much. But you're right, the talent's been there. He's had good stretches. He's just proven to be a leader. Yeah. It's very similar to Chapman last year. Coming in, new team, and you could tell that the clubhouse just kind of rallied around him. And he became one of those central figures. It's part of what makes me feel positive about next season, is that Adames is a leader in the clubhouse. there is a certain group of guys that do seem to rally around him. And you see him in the middle of all the celebrations. But my favorite thing is when Adames does something positive, it's almost like a competition by the other guys who can be the one to pull his helmet off. I've seen Ramos do it. I think I've even seen Drew Gilbert do it. Maybe Devers has done it at some point. I'm not sure. Probably not, because Devers is usually on base when he homers or hits ahead of him. But, Devers himself, his personality has come out during the season, and I think Adames has been a big part of that. So he just seems to be the most sense. I think Dominic Smith might have been a good choice as well, as somebody who came in mid-season and contributed to the ball club and definitely was a good clubhouse president. I guess he could be the dark horse winner after Adames, but Adames just seems to have something like this locked up.
I think it is locked up, and I would go so far as to say he's going to be the fourth Giant to win at least 2 Willie Mac awards, because he's going to.
That's what I thought.
He's going to be here for a while,
right?
And with his attitude and everything, I think he's going to win multiple Willie Macs.
That's exactly what I was thinking. I'm like, somebody's going to have to dethrone him at this point. Is how it feels.
Yeah, and just for a review, the only 3 Giants that have ever won it twice are Mike Krukow, JT Snow, and Benji Molina. Both Krukow and Molina won it back-to-back years. Snow won it 7 years apart, actually, in 97 and 2004. But yeah, I think Willie Adames could easily win this back-to-back, or at least 2 out of 3 years. Because the Giants will get to a point where they're like, we can't give it to him every year. We got to give it to someone else.
Right.
But
Drew Gilbert is a dark horse for next year if he makes the club.
If he makes the club, and stays with the club all year, I think he's definitely a contender.
A dark horse contender. Yeah, but I think it's Adames this year. Smith really would have had a shot, but it's been Adames's almost since day one. Once he got out of his little early season slump, and all Giants fans warmed to him, I'm still a fan of the contract now. I'm totally happy that Adames is our shortstop.
Yeah, no, for sure. Okay, a couple things left here. The first thing I wanted to talk about is we are getting to the playoffs here, and we are planning to record next Monday night. That is the night before the playoffs start. And we're going to give you our playoff predictions. So I just kind of wanted to review a little bit of some of the tighter races right now. Let's start with the wild card in the National League. We all know that Arizona's ahead. They're, a game or game and a half back now. The Reds actually yesterday had tied the Mets, or 2 days ago. But today they did lose. The Mets won, so the Reds are now 1 game back of the Mets. Seattle swept Houston earlier in the week. They won again tonight in a comeback win. They locked up a playoff berth tonight, actually, and they're in first place in the AL West. They've been playing really, really well. And then it'll be fun to see, Raleigh in the playoffs as well. The Tigers. What the hell happened to the Tigers? That's one of those teams I didn't really watch because they were so good in the beginning of the year. The Giants got swept by them, right? They were the juggernaut in the AL Central. And they suddenly lost 10 out of 11, while the Guardians won 10 out of 11. Let me put it this way. You know how we said the Giants, or Willie Adames, hit number 28 on September 9th? The day after that, on September 10th, the Tigers were 9.5 games ahead of the Guardians. 9.5, just 13 days ago. As of today, they're tied. They're tied for the AL Central. It's
crazy.
I can't even recall anything like this. I know the Padres lost 6 games to the Giants in the last 2 weeks. This is 9.5 games in 13 days, Eric. That's including off days.
Yeah, the Tigers had the best record in baseball at the All-Star break at 59-38. They were left. Not even Cleveland. They were 12 games ahead of Cleveland. Cleveland was in 4th place at the All-Star break. Their biggest lead was actually 15.5 on July 8th. But at the All-Star break, the Tigers had 59 wins, 38 losses, best record in baseball. And now it is entirely possible, with the way some other teams have played, that they might fall completely out of the playoffs altogether, because Houston is just a half game back of them. Yep. So if Houston and Detroit keeps falling, if Detroit keeps falling and Houston at least manages to win, Detroit's lost 7 straight, Houston's lost 3 straight. So, who's going to blink? But it's entirely possible that they could go from having the best record in baseball at the All-Star break to completely out of the playoffs, which is almost unprecedented. I cannot think of a time in modern baseball, where the wild card, just even since '95, since the first wild card was introduced, I cannot think of a team that had the best record in baseball. Like the 2016 Giants had the best record in baseball, I believe, at the All-Star break or close to it, and then they totally faded, and and then they crapped out against the Cubs. But I mean, they still made the playoffs.
Right.
They were not on the outside looking in, and Detroit could have that happen to them. And good for the Guardians. What a surge. It's kind of funny here, though. I'm looking run differential. Tigers have outscored their opponents by 70. Cleveland's been outscored by 6. Like, how does that even happen? It's just like the Marlins have been outscored by 81, and the Giants have a plus 13 run differential, and they have the same record.
And they have the same record.
But
I don't get it.
Yeah, it's crazy. I'm with you. It was kind of you kind of just filed in the back of your head, autopilot. The Tigers are going to win the Central. It'll be fun to watch Scooble in the playoffs. And now it's like, oh no, they might not even make it. I mean, I don't know what to make of it. They've had some bad losing streaks lately, and I mean, I don't know if it's leadership or if everybody just stopped playing at the same time. There's a horrible moment tonight where Scooble hit somebody in the face. The guy squared around to bunt, and it hit the guy square in the face, and Scooble immediately reacted. He threw his glove and his hat down. You could just see him grab his face. He felt so bad. And I think Cleveland actually took the lead shortly thereafter, but not off Scooble. It might have been off the bullpen. But it's really astonishing to see something like that happen. And then over in the National League, the Mets with their collapse, I mean, is crazy. Arizona is now, I think, Arizona and Cincinnati. Arizona just won. They beat LA. So Arizona and Cincinnati are both a game behind the Mets. And I don't know who has the tiebreaker between the D-backs and the Mets, but I do know the Reds hold the tiebreaker over the Mets. So that is why they were the ones in the wild card position as of yesterday, or as of the beginning of play today. So it's so unprecedented. Like, can you imagine being Steve Cohen, the owner of the Mets? How pissed you're going to be. Soto with the contract, you spend all this money again. And then your team just absolutely craps the bed in September and blows it. This is why it's so frustrating. The Giants could be in this, but these are some epic collapses we're seeing this season. Even the Yankees have made it close with Toronto. They're only a game behind Toronto in the AL East now, and that's for the best record in the American League.
Yep. Yeah, and the Yankees have been playing really well.
They're 7-3 in their last 10.
Yeah, 3 teams have clinched in the AL, I believe. It's Toronto, Seattle with their win tonight, and New York. At least they've clinched a playoff berth. Of course, the Guardians are duking it out with the Tigers, like we just talked about. The Astros are a half game back. And then after that, there's no one else in the running. The Rangers, they were in the running a week ago, but they've lost 8 in a row. And now they're 6 back in the wild card, which is eliminated. They're mathematically eliminated. Yeah, Bochy. It was kind of sad to see that because I saw them. They were right there in the wild card a week ago, and I was like, oh, Bochy might get back in the playoffs, but not going to happen. Over the National League, you have the Brewers and Phillies, of course, clinched their divisions, so they're definitely in the playoffs. The Dodgers, against the Giants, unfortunately, clinched a playoff berth. We also saw, by the way, we didn't mention this, we also saw Clayton Kershaw's last home start in LA because shortly before that, he did announce that he's retiring at the end of the season. And, I brought him up a couple of shows ago and talked about that ESPN cover where you had Lincecum and Kershaw on it. I think Kershaw was giving him a noogie or something. And we thought these two guys were going to be battling it out for, 8-10 years. And obviously the freak flamed out and Kershaw had the longevity. And what are you going to do? You got to tip your cap to him. The guy was incredible. He's an incredible pitcher. He's still dealing. He still pitched well against the Giants. He's still got good stats this year. And he's going to go out on top no matter what the Dodgers do in the playoffs. So, he's got some other questionable things in his life that we won't mention, but as a baseball player, he's just been fantastic. And you just got to tip your cap and go, one hell of a dude. He's going to the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, the Giants were his they're kind of his bitch, he kind of owned the Giants. I couldn't figure out a way to say it without just saying it too. I'm thinking and
sure.
Yeah, no. They really are. I mean, look at this. He 63 starts against the Giants, most against any team. Mm-hmm. The next closest, it looks like, is the Rockies at 52. Padres were 48, and the D-backs were 45. But against the Giants, where'd it go? Here it is. His ERA was 2.1 2.1.
That's just
in
stupid.
63 starts against one opponent. It is. It's totally stupid. And we've over the years, the Giants have absolutely struggled against left-handed pitchers. And it's crazy that lines up. He threw over 400 innings against the Giants.
Right.
That's just unbelievable. 421 strikeouts just against the Giants. The next closest is the Rockies at 324. I mean, it's almost 100 times more than any other team that they struck out. I'm with you. I tip my cap to him. He had a tremendous career. Frankly, he was my the one Dodger I never hated. And I did like to see him melt down in the playoffs because you always want to see the Dodgers lose in the playoffs. So
sure.
we
still have one more chance. We have one more chance to see him do
right.
that.
Oh, totally. But he's going to retire with 2 rings, some Cy Youngs, an MVP award. You can't do anything but tip your cap. He's a Hall of Famer, and he deserves every bit of it. The All-Star game this year when he was mic'd up, I thought was just absolutely a highlight. And just listening to him that night, you knew he was retiring. He didn't care. He was just BSing with Smoltz.
He was BSing. What do you think I should throw him here? What do you think? Yeah, stuff like that.
Right. And then he's like, throw a cutter. He's like, I don't have a cutter.
Yeah.
That's what was so funny about that. I don't think it was the cutter. I think it was something else. But you can tell him as a man relaxed and at peace with his career, as well he should be.
Yeah.
But I will not miss seeing him pitch against the Giants one bit. But
nope.
I did enjoy watching him pitch. He's the greatest left-handed pitcher of the last 20 years.
Oh yeah, there's
the game
no
is
doubt.
tied.
There's no.
The Giants game is tied. Chad is psychic.
Oh my
Ryan
God.
Walker again.
Ryan Walker is a single and then a double, and there's still nobody out.
And then a double. Right. Which is like very specific to what we saw last week when he didn't get anybody out. I mean, when he melts down, he just melts down. He did this against the Cardinals 2.5 weeks ago on a Saturday, where he didn't get a single out in the 9th inning and they walked it off on a 2-0 game that turned into a 3-2 loss. I mean, the Giants just don't have the bullpen anymore. They really don't.
They don't have the bullpen anymore, and I can't tell Bob Melvin who to run out in the 9th inning anymore, except maybe Peguero at this point. But Peguero's been good in the 7th and 8th, so it's like, you need him there. If you put Walker in the 7th or 8th, he's probably blowing it there. So it's like half dozen or the other, right? I don't know, but all I know is that Ryan Walker has been absolute garbage. Absolute garbage. Like he just cannot. No, I'm sorry. And like you just said, and we've covered before, against St. Louis in St. Louis, didn't get an out. In Arizona that we saw, didn't get an out. Now tonight, hasn't gotten an out. And the game's tied. It's just like the dude he's a pitching machine at this point. He's just a pitching machine.
Yep.
It's just...
And it's so annoying because sometimes his stuff is so filthy, but it's almost like he just finds it by accident.
This is just the way this game is going. It's just a microcosm of the entire season. And yeah, I called it at 8-3. I called it. I don't know how. It just happens. It's just my pessimistic Giants attitude these days. I don't know what to say.
Well, I felt like that Tuesday game last week was a microcosm. They didn't get a hit after the 3rd inning. You know what I mean? It's very much what happens is they did their damage and just stopped. But early in the season, we were lauding the fact that they were, scoring runs late in games to come back against teams. That Giants team is gone. They have not done that in weeks. And even when they had their one little hot streak, it was just big innings. That's really what they were doing. They were feeding off each other and doing that stuff, but they were not like coming back from deficits or anything like that. This is like you said earlier. It's just a team that does not deserve the playoffs. So I'm glad. Look at that. Runner on third, less than 2 outs. So here comes the fly ball. Giants are going to,
Yeah, ground ball to short, move the runner over to third. So now we got 1 out. So the infield's got to come in.
Yep. So any fly ball is going to score the run. It's just they're not as good as they could be. And I jokingly said to Chad before we started, we're going to make our playoff predictions and wrap the season next week. Wouldn't it be interesting if we're talking about Bomel being fired? And I really think that's a distinct possibility. I know the extension was signed. But they've been crap since the extension. All it was a 1-year extension, too.
Yeah, and
the
again,
Giants
nothing's
are willing
guaranteed.
to eat. Right.
Yeah, exactly. They can eat the
Eat
money.
anything they have to. Right. They don't care. And it's the Giants, how they constantly just seem not prepared for situations. I'm with you, though. Bringing Walker in is not necessarily on Melvin, because who the hell do you bring in? Piguero is pretty much the only choice. And even Piguero can be touched up. We saw it in person. But, I think they're 2-8 in their last 10. You're right. You said it. Yeah. It's nothing lines up good. They're 9-11 in September. They only had one winning month this season, I believe.
There's April. That was it.
It's so frustrating that this could be the end. I don't think it'll be like a few years ago when Cap lost his job, where he got fired with 3 games left and Kai Correa took over.
No, I don't think so.
I actually thought that was kind of crappy how that went down, because I bring up something like the Willie Mac, and Gabe seems like the kind of guy that would have gotten into a team award, so would have made sense for him to have been there for that kind of a thing. But he got fired before that happened, because there was, I believe, I believe there was an off day that year, like there is this year, on Thursday, between this series against the Cardinals and the next series against the Rockies.
Yeah, those were ups from Eric. Might as well tell him what happened.
Oh, okay. I got quiet to let you do it, but base hit to right field, and the Giants are losing.
Yeah, it's funny because everyone listening to this is going to be listening to this tomorrow morning, and they will be.
Right.
I already know this. I already know how the game ended.
Chad is totally prophetic, though. Seriously, man, you should have been a prophet.
At least they're not tied or a game back right now, because I'd be cursing like a sailor. Because at this point, it's just like, kick me while I'm down. Whatever. It doesn't matter anymore.
No.
I feel it's like the political landscape. I'm like, whatever. Just kick me while I'm down. I don't give a crap anymore.
Yep.
No, it's really bad. This is a 5-run lead in the 7th inning, and now they got to score at least 1 to keep this game going. 2 to win, and that's if they don't allow any more runs. So, all right. So before we close this,
I'm thinking about Willie right now.
Yeah, well, there you go.
Willie.
Maybe he'll get another shot, and maybe that'll be worth it, right?
No, Willie, our co-host Willie.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were talking about Willie Damas because he'll have another chance. You're right.
No,
we have a lot of Willies. We have the Willie Mac
Willie
Award.
Dills at the game.
We have Willie Damas, and now we have Willie
Too many
Dills.
Willies.
We got too many Willies.
So many Willies. We got Willie Mays, Willie Mac, Willie Damas, Willie Dills. Like, too many Willies. No, but I'm thinking about Dills right now. Like, he's at the game, and he probably felt all comfortable when it was 8-3, and he was like, "All right, we got this in hand," and now he's got to sit there through this. I wonder if he started to head to the exits just yet.
Yeah, actually, he did invite me to the game late last night, and unfortunately, with my work schedule, I couldn't make it. And at first, I was like, "Man, that would have been a fun game to go to tonight." And now I'm thinking, "Oh man, I'm really glad I didn't go to the game tonight." No, I'm just kidding.
Absolutely.
I would have had a great time with Willie, because you and I saw 2 losses, including a heartbreaker in Arizona, and we had a great time. It just seems to be, the Giants' MO right now. So, all right, couple things left to talk about before we close out. The big news in MLB today, which we kind of avoided this whole podcast, is that the automatic ball strike system, the ABS system, is coming officially to Major League Baseball next season. Before we talk about how we feel about it, and we could just gloss over it because we've already covered it a little bit before, we did address that Patrick Bailey has such a high defensive WAR and is routinely the last couple of years, of course he won the Gold Glove last year, but this year his defensive metrics and his defensive runs saved and all that are off the charts. He's twice as good as the next catcher, and he's the best framer by far in the major leagues. But back in July, when they asked him about this, he said, quote, "It takes a lot off my plate in a bad way. I think it takes a lot of value from the catching position that's already, in my opinion, pretty undervalued. So yeah, I think you're going to see a lot of catchers out of baseball with the ABS." So Eric, do you think he has a point?
Well, that's incredible self-awareness. Kind of gives you a little peek into the mind of Patrick Bailey there. I don't think it will make as big of an impact on like a Bailey as we think, because each club starts the game with 2 challenges, and then they only retain challenges if they're successful.
Right.
And only the pitcher, catcher, or batter may challenge the call of ball or strike. So you're going to be hesitant to challenge at certain times because you don't want to do it in the wrong time. You're not going to be challenging in the first inning to screw your team out of challenges later in the game. So there is value to what Bailey brings to the table still.
Right.
Now, if ABS was taking over 100% on every pitch, that changes things. And the guy would need to learn to hit a little bit better. But
yeah, to stay in the league, 100%.
Right. His value is still going to be there. It really is. I don't really see it hurting his value as a catcher for the Giants for at least the next season. The extra innings, you get a new challenge every single inning. If you have none, entering the inning, like say, it's not like if you don't challenge in the 10th, now you have 2 in the 11th. No, you get 1 per inning as a new challenge. So you basically start over the process with every new inning and extra innings. But the fact that you really only get 2 challenges, I mean, granted, it can grow to 3, 4, 5, 6 during a game, but somebody's still got to steal strike 1, strike 2 here. I mean, we're only going to see challenges really coming up on ball 4s and strike 3s. It's not like they're going to really challenge often when it's the first pitch of an at-bat or the third pitch of an at-bat, things like that. So I think Bailey's value is still there. And unless, like I said, ABS takes over and calls every pitch, Bailey's still got plenty of value, and I expect him to be the starting catcher for the San Francisco Giants in 26.
Yeah, I think that's a reasonable take because you do only get 2 challenges. Like you said, if you're right, you keep the challenge, but you got to be strategic about using them. Now, it is up to the batter to use them. This is not a situation like instant replay where, there's an out call at a bag and the player's like, no, I was safe. And the manager quickly looks at his replay guy or gets on the phone with the replay guy.
Right.
And they go, yeah, challenge it. Or no, don't challenge it. That is not in play here. You cannot and will not have anyone behind the scenes looking at the ball strike, the ABS system, and definitively know. Because hypothetically, Eric, if you did have someone magically, like a Houston Astros situation, right, where you had someone behind the scenes looking at the ABS and instantly somehow communicated to the batter, but then that would be picked up immediately, right? Could you imagine in an inning, there's 3 challenges every inning and they're always right? Obviously, they would know something was up. So you can't really abuse the system in that way. And like you said, they're not going to be challenging on ball 1 in inning 1. They're not doing that. Or strike 1 in inning 1. They're not going to do that. It will affect high leverage situations. And this is where it will have an impact, where I'm not saying this happens every single game, but there are moments in most games where in the past, Bailey has been good at framing a strike 3 with 2 runners on base or bases loaded in a tie game or a tight game, and they get out of the situation. Again, not every game this happens, but it has happened enough where you notice these things. Those are the situations in which if he frames a pitch really well and the batter immediately thinks it's outside or inside, he's going to tap his helmet, because that's a situation. And I think you'll see a lot of batters and even pitchers use it in late game high leverage situations because you have nothing to lose, right? It's kind of like in the NFL. If you have a challenge left with 2 minutes or 3 minutes in the game, just use it, because what are you going to save it for? It's the same situation. If you have 2 challenges left and it's the 8th inning and you have bases loaded and you get a called third strike and you think it was outside, just use it. So I do think that we're going to see a lot of strike 3s in high leverage situations called back, or ball 4s called back, same thing. And Bailey's value is going to diminish in those situations. But I think you're right. I think overall, the net effect is going to be somewhat minimal. And I think his value is still going to be 90% of what it used to be. So I do think that he might be blowing it a little bit out of proportion.
Yeah, also when he made those statements, it was July, so he didn't know the scope of what might be coming. I think what annoys me the most about this is the stupid statement from Major League Baseball. The ABS challenge system runs on a 5G private network from T-Mobile for Business, Advanced Network Solutions. Like, do we really need to shoehorn a sponsor in to what is happening here? Do we really need to point out that it's T-Mobile? But I got to say, as a T-Mobile customer, this pretty much assures me that I'm going to get MLB TV for free again next year, because these two entities seem jointly locked. And I haven't paid for MLB TV for like 5 years now because of the fact that they've got this deal with T-Mobile. So, from that aspect, I really like it. But do we really need to shoehorn T-Mobile for Business's Advanced Network Solutions into it? Like, tell me the 12 Hawkeye cameras set around the perimeter of the field to track the location of the pitch. I'm fine with that. If you've ever watched tennis, you know what Hawkeye is at this point. They've been using this technology for like 15 years at this point.
Sure.
Why baseball takes so long to do it. Like, I honestly think we could expand it to the foul lines and things like that when there's challenges that come into play on that. Because there's times we've seen a ball hit the grass down a foul line, and like we see a couple pieces of white grass come up, but we're not sure. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I think that could help with that kind of technology, but with this, we don't need the added 5G private network from T-Mobile. I'm totally giving T-Mobile so much free advertising.
I was going to say, you're giving a lot of.
Granted, well, thank goodness our reach isn't that big. It's just crazy that in this day and age, that's how it has to be integrated. That we have to point out whose system they're using. That's really is my one complaint with it. But it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out, to see how teams utilize it throughout the season. If a lot of major events change, and I'm hopeful that they don't like change the rules for the playoffs, because baseball is notorious for kind of doing one thing during the season but maybe tweaking it a little bit in the playoffs. Hopefully they just let the season play out how it is. It says the entire process is supposed to take 15 seconds, which is fine. There really is not a lot of time at all. If you've watched football this season and they go to replay assist every now and then, and they'll respot the ball or something like that, it takes no more than 15 seconds. So I don't think it'll take away from the game at all. And it'll be interesting, too, to see which players have better eyes than other players when it comes to this. Like, by the end of the season, will we see, this pitcher challenged a pitch more than any other pitcher, and he was right, 73% of the time or something like that. That always has had my curiosity. Like, umpires, yes, they have the best view of it, but I am certain that there are hitters out there that have a better eye than the umpires that are behind the plate. So I'm kind of curious to see what the stats are at the end of the season on something like that.
Yeah, no, it's going to be interesting. I think it's a welcome change. I think replay was a good change back in the day because it's getting the calls right, the important calls, the ones that they are enough, they want to challenge. And then certainly, getting this right, because there are crucial situations in which it's like, oh my God, that was ball 4 with the bases loaded, and now it's strike 3, and we don't get a run, and obviously the Giants can steal those as well. But I think it'll level the playing field a little bit, so it'll be good overall. All right, well, Giants.
It's funny. I was going to say, Jesus Rodriguez got called up to the taxi squad this week from the minors. The Giants got him in the trade with the Yankees. And my first thought was, it's like they knew ABS was coming, so they want to trade Bailey's replacement.
Yeah, they got word.
He's
and
on
like,
the taxi
up on the
squad.
taxi squad. Here, come on up.
Right. There's no roster move corresponding.
No.
They came out and said that he's going to catch some bullpens and just get to know some of the guys and stuff like that. That's the whole reason he has a locker in the clubhouse right now. But it was just very funny timing that very right around the time that they announced ABS for next year, that the Giants are like, well, here's our next catching prospect. Let's see what he's got, but no roster moves were made. It's just ironic timing.
Bailey's like, what the hell? What's going on here? Something you're not telling me.
Right? I mean, I would kind of have thought that, like there's literally, if he's not even going to get at bats, it doesn't matter. So now we've got the Giants down 1 run, bottom of the 9th, 2 outs, and Bryce Eldridge coming to the plate with a chance to win the game with a blast.
Yeah, we had Devers. They had their meat of the lineup, too. Devers grounded out. Adames did double, and then Chapman struck out. So it's like,
right.
that
Eldridge,
was that's what they needed to do.
Wilmer's pinch hitting for Eldridge.
Oh.
They pinch hit Wilmer for Eldridge. So, I was going to suggest that we try to record this last at-bat with Eldridge to see if we get excited, but since Wilmer's coming up, who cares?
Plus, last
there's
time.
A pitching change.
I should just play the Friends theme song right now. Yeah, well, it's a pitching change, so we won't linger that long. So we'll
we won't.
You guys will know if the Giants probably lost, or if Wilmer did something magical,
or if they're guaranteed a 500 or worse record by losing.
Yeah, which is going to make me sad, but that's what it is. So, all right, well, the Giants have 1 more versus St. Louis tomorrow, and then 3 versus the Rockies. So again, yeah, if they lose tonight, because they're only 1 out away from a horrible loss again, they would have to win all 4 games to get to 500, and I don't think that's happening. They've lost after tonight. If they lose, that's 9 out of 11. So they go 2-2, and Eric is prophetic in the season prediction, nailing it at 79. So that's pretty awesome. If they lose tonight, I'm out of the running. I could still be closest technically if they go 81 and 81. But it looks like Eric's going to nail this sucker or be within a game. So congratulations to you on that one. I'm sure you're very happy about the Giants losing.
I'm very happy.
Winning 79 instead of 82
Right,
or Willie's 92 or whatever he predicted.
I think it was 87. But I think, yes, I'm very happy I predicted them to have a losing season, and it came true.
Very happy. Yeah, then after that, that's all she wrote. And next Monday, we'll be here for the postmortem analysis and our playoff predictions. And we'll go from there, because that's when we kind of go into the off season, where we kind of our recordings go a little irregular. It's more of when we're available and when interesting stuff happens, either with the Giants or in baseball overall. So yeah, that'll do it for episode 327. You can follow us individually at ChadK21 and at 2OutHits on Twitter, or at TortureCast. You can also email us at torturecast@gmail.com. Follow us on Facebook. We also have our Instagram account, which is petering right along. And then, of course, you can get everything at our website at torturecast.com. I know that when we were down in Arizona, Eric had a lot of fun going back and forth with the guys from Giants Chatter. So that was kind of fun to listen in on those
shout
conversations.
Out Steven Risotto. Yeah, shout out to Steven.
Had a little video call with Risotto. That was pretty funny. Couldn't hear him, but
couldn't hear him at all.
Yeah, it was a little loud at that point in the park, but that was kind of cool. But no, you guys got your internal stuff going on. But the pages still exist. If you guys want to check it out, go to Giants Chatter. You got anything else, Eric?
Nope, that's about it.
Okay. And, we do have a batter up. 2-0. All right, maybe we'll linger just a little bit. We're going to stretch this out. It's so sad, isn't it?
Well, I mean...
So what'd you have for dinner tonight?
Pizza. A French bread pizza.
Oh, nice.
Ooh.
I had some homemade meatballs and Brussels sprouts. Hey.
I'm jealous. I miss homemade meatballs.
Yeah,
I it's funny. That's not actually something my wife cooked. That's something I cook. If somebody was going to make meatballs, I make them. Shout out to my buddy Chris Corbett, who has used my meatball recipe to rave reviews in his own household.
No kidding.
Italian food is about the only thing I can make. There are many of you out there that are aware that I have some world famous garlic cheese bread. I make some really good garlic cheese bread. So I'm adopted, so I don't know my real lineage. And I'm pretty sure I'm Italian. With the food I make, forget about it.
Forget about it, right?
2-2.
Yeah. Oh, there goes Wilmer. Giants lose.
That's the ball game.
That's it. He struck out. And
Save that big hard curveball.
Wow. Okay, well, that's a great note to sign off of. So,
no over 500 this season. They can only do 500 or worse.
Now, if they win 4 in a row, they'll be 81 and 81. So, yeah, they're 77 and 81 now. Boy, how the mediocre have fallen further.
How the mediocre have been mediocre.
Yeah, the mediocre have been slightly less than mediocre. Oh, so now they're even behind the Marlins, and the Braves are right there, 2 behind. Oh, this is bad, Eric. They could plummet all the way down to the 4th worst record in the National League. What are you going to do?
Maybe they'll draft
what we're going to do?
Next year.
We're going to continue to be Giants fans. We're going to continue to wipe the slate clean. We're going to continue to forget the fact that the Giants have made the playoffs, only once over the last 5 seasons and only twice over the last 10. Not a big deal at all. Totally not a big deal. It's fine.
So yeah, it's once over the last 9 years. So starting next year, it'll be once over the last 10.
Oh, that's true. When you include
17
through 25. Yeah, you're right.
Exactly. That's 9 seasons when you get 17, 18, 19, 20, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, that's 9 seasons.
No, 9 seasons, 1 time. Yeah, this is all since 16. That is in the wild card era, especially the expansion. This is bad. When a quarter of the teams make the playoffs. So actually, 12 out of 30. So yeah, it's a little bit more than that. It's not good.
We'll save it for the postmortem on Monday.
Yeah, no doubt. And also, with the loss tonight, the Giants are officially and mathematically eliminated. So there's that. Yeah. All right. Anyway, we'll see you guys next Monday, 6 days from now, for episode 328 in our postmortem. Until then, I would say go Giants, but I'll say the same thing. Go anyone but the Dodgers. Boom.
Oh, it's miserable being a Giants fan sometimes.
A big thank you to everybody for listening to the Torture Cast, the podcast by and for fans of the San Francisco Giants. Follow us on Twitter at TortureCast. You can also like us on Facebook or check out our blog at torturecast.com. I also want to say thank you to Ashcon and Bailey for letting us use their song Feeling Like a Giant for our intro. For Ben Lee and Chad King, my name is Willie Dills saying, we'll see you next time.